Hey there, and welcome to the A.D.K. Rock and Metal Network. I am Dave Does from Telescribe and Nothing Gained. Joining us today is Andy Edwards from the Ultimate Doomsters from Hertfordshire, Nomadic Rain. And also we have Kirk Houghton, the lead editor, the metallic god himself.
Where are you going with this?
From Scream Blast Repeat. How you doing, Kirk?
Metallic god.
You said I had to one-up myself from the last intro.
Even I'm embarrassed by the flattery.
Everyone's looking at you going, he ain't a metal god, fuck off.
I know, it's like, fucking hell, is this like midget guy who
right, what we doing
says the
today?
same things every time?
We are today, what we're doing, we're doing some more Broken Down and Pulled Apart. That's where we take a reaction song and we break it up. At least once in the song to talk about it as we go, rather than wait till the end. We've all made our own suggestions of songs, so today we're doing Kirk's pick. It's Strapping Young Lad. The song is Love, and you have to say it Love because it's got a question mark at the end of it. I know of Strapping Young Lad, but I could not for the life of me tell you a single song. Never seen them, never watched a video of them, but I just knew that Devin Townsend, that was his band at some point, before he's obviously more of a solo artist. Andy, thoughts on Strapping Young Lad?
Yeah, similar to yourself. I'm pretty sure we haven't covered them on the channel, but I have, for some reason, maybe watched one or two videos. But the one of those bands where I probably will enjoy this, and I probably would enjoy Strapping Young Lad, but it's the name. You know,
yeah.
Oh, what bands are you into? Oh, I like Strapping Young Lad. People can look at you quite strange, don't they? And it also doesn't indicate.
I think they're like the Choir Boys or something.
Yeah, when they first came onto the scene, it doesn't tell you the genre, what the style is, but it's, to me, it doesn't sound as if it's going to be particularly heavy or particularly brutal. But I think I'm right in saying they are quite in that respect. We'll find
Definitely. Yeah. They signed a deal with Century Media in the 90s. 5-album deal, or Devin did, and the proviso that he had to give them 5 extreme albums. That's what the record label was saying, Century Media at the time. So, yeah.
Why have you picked this song then, Kirk?
Not as straightforward as you think. I'll keep it to less than a minute, but
Never.
I had a few years away.
I didn't want to be straightforward either.
I had 4 or 5 years away from just listening to metal, and 2018 got back into some heavy stuff, and I remember thinking, oh, Strapping Young Lad. I remember the 1997 album City, which is incredible, and I was going through YouTube and I thought, oh well, Strapping Young Lad, you know, they were good back in the day. I wonder what happened to them. And then this came up from their 2005 album, I think it's called Alien, which is phenomenal. Gene Hoglan on drums, and it just blew me away. And I've got to say, it got me back into really heavy music as well, especially as we'll see in here, the production's incredible, the wall of sound, the double kick beats, we'll get into that, but it's a song I can put on again and again. It's heavy as fuck, and I can just keep playing it on repeat because it's so well written.
Okay, well, let's go check it out. Yeah, it felt like a natural stop point there, just about. Andy, first impressions.
First impressions, is it supposed to sound that muffled and dirty, or is it just because it's like a 5th generation YouTube uploaded the video, Kirk?
Yeah, no, it is supposed to sound like that. He has that wall of sound production. You're right. It sounds like your speakers are so fuzzy they're going to explode. So yeah, it's deliberate, and that's what it's so fucking heavy as a result, though, isn't it?
Yes, but that is kind of distracting and annoying, because I think I'd like this even more if it had an element of clarity. I think it could still be heavy as fuck as you described it, but I don't know. I'm surprised you said that. I thought, as Dave found perhaps not the best version of this video to review, and it's just not coming across, audibly very good. But
you're playing through like laptop speakers, aren't you, as well?
Well, yeah.
So that's not, because I initially, as soon as that song started, I had to turn the volume down on my speakers here, because I was like, fuck my god, that's oversaturating my speakers straight away. And on all the other songs it was fine. I'm like, so I've got it on the most minimal volume on my speakers, and it still sounds loud as fuck. And I can hear those distorted points where it's actually crackling the speaker at points.
Yeah.
So in your speakers, it's going to sound a hell of a lot worse. You're not going to see any clarity.
It's not loud. It just sounds. You know, back in the day when you used to sort of tape albums for your friends, and that friend was taping out that for his friend, and obviously, you get, particularly on demos back in the day, you'd have sort of tape to tape versions of demos, and this is kind of the sound quality. But yes, there's an Evil Dead reference at the very beginning. It's almost like a shot for shot as the sort of camera goes through the woods and reaches the cabin, and there was a very brief shot of the sort of animated stag's head, which is from the Evil Dead. But for me, the sort of the most sort of part that sort of comes to mind most prominently is Gene Hoglan's drumming. I mean, I can take or leave drummers. Majority of drummers just play their part in metal songs, but there are one or two who are actually even I can recognise as being outstanding and amazing drummers, and Gene Hoglan is one of them. And you can hear that in the drumming in this particular track. The double kick drums you mentioned, Kirk. Is that Terry Butler of Death and Massacre and Obituary on bass? Do you know?
No, it's not. Unfortunately, the only ex-member of Death that's ever been in is Gene Hoglan.
Oh, okay. Just looks a bit like Terry, but I mean, like the sound, the visuals aren't that clear either, so it just looked like him at the point. Yeah, I thought I would enjoy it. It's very industrial. I like the vocals. On the cleaner passages, to me, it reminds me of like a lower register sort of Dio.
Yeah.
He's not got that Ronnie James Dio delivery and range, but it does sort of sound like it could be Dio singing in a slightly lower voice. But he's a strange looking fella, isn't he, Devin Townsend? Then and now, but particularly there. Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's not a band I've really listened to. I might have heard one or two, but I'm not even sure of that now. But it's an interesting concept, and probably one that I would have got into, and by the name, it just doesn't suit the music what we can hear. So, but obviously he's come up with that for a reason, and thought it works well as a band name, and he's gone with it for many albums, I'm sure. But yeah, good start, enjoying it.
So for me, the one time that I've actually seen anything from Devin Townsend, so I'd never seen Strapping Young Lad, so I'd only ever seen Devin Townsend. And the one thing I had seen was Devin Townsend at the Royal Albert Hall in 2022, which was phenomenal. I saw a few songs that were there, and you were like, fucking hell, this guy knows how to transcend standard. He's got the industrial elements, he's got the progressive metal elements going in there, he understands orchestration, he understands intricate songwriting. So I was thinking, well, with Strapping Young Lad's going to be completely different, but you can hear all of that in here as well. So yes, you've got the industrial drum parts going on there. I picked up, as you said, the DOS vocals over the verses. When you then went into this almost melodic vocal delivery, it reminded me of Deftones coming out there. So you've got this sort of Chino vocal kind of back to school kind of interesting delivery there. You can hear the synths coming through in there, and you've just got this constant industrial drive through the back there. But again, it's all about interesting layers, and it sounded all like stuff that he was doing in the 2022 Royal Albert Hall show from his solo sort of stuff. So he was definitely had that in his strapping young lad era. And what you were saying about like dirty extreme, I was thinking this was going to be a lot more in your face extreme metal style. This is hooky. This has got some natural, apart from the sound being dirty, so it's fuzzy as fuck. But I think, as I said, like Andy said, if this was a bit of a cleaner thing, it would instantly grab you. But I guess I think there's probably going to be an element of the fact that this video quality is ropey. So there's probably some audio degradation on top of that as well. But you can automatically see that the sound quality is not going to be what we're expecting, and he has pushed up. He's oversaturated the field. He's filled up way too much of the sound to make it easily accessible, and that's what he's aimed for. But overall, though, so far, very cool track. Kirk, talk us through then.
Yeah, 3 things blew me away when I heard this song for the first time. One of them, you're right, Andy, you've got a dirty guitar tone, but you can tell the production's deliberate because the double kick drums, they're tuned quite high. There's a lot of clarity in them, isn't it? That's what led you to think, is that guitar deliberate, where he's just turned everything up too loud? So that's one element that stood out. Second, the industrial element, and then that riff just... It's like, how can you make that interesting to get to the end of the first chorus, which he does fantastically? And then, to me, the extraordinary vocal performance. You can hear every word, even in those black and death metal growls, and it's so theatrical as well. It's like every technique that you want to learn as a death metal vocalist, he's just gone and done it in the first minute of this song. And then when you get to the chorus, and you're right, there's this like Chino Moreno, almost like neo-erotic, soothing type voice as well. And if you listen to the guitars, there's actually some interesting mid-range chords that he's playing as well. So his grasp of melody, to go from something that's like really heavy industrial metal, pummeling rhythms, to a really ambitious chorus, which it doesn't just say, here's the melody, I'm just going to put this in your face. You kind of absorb it within the first 5 seconds. And how many times have we said when we're listening to metalcore bands, Christ, can you go back and study some of the greats to figure out how to do a clean chorus? This is probably the best ever example of that. You've got a fucking heavy song, and then you're getting a chorus like that. It doesn't, it's not like metalcore where they just sound like whining teenagers and don't really know how to phrase the vocals. Just go and study Devin Townsend. Go and listen to this song. This is how you make something heavy, but meaningful to other people as well. And the lyrics, you can hear every word that he's saying.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Let's play it to the end. There we go, strapping young lads, lad and love. Andy, final thoughts on it? Any changes since the midpoint?
I really like that section immediately after we restarted it. That was brutally heavy, simple, staccato, chugging riffs, aggressive vocals, but then flipping a coin almost. It's like, oh, let's do something slightly, really different. And it's like the cleanest and most melodic vocals he's delivering throughout the whole song. But it seemed to me that I don't know if it is the fact that I haven't got speakers on this laptop, it's literally just the ones that are built into the machine. The sound quality just deteriorated as the song went on. It sounded like I said, fifth generation album take from you for a friend of a friend, or and if that's deliberate, I think that's a bad call, because I would absolutely be digging this track big time if it just had that, $100,000 production value that you'd expect from music like this. From a top band, a talented band. If that's what they've deliberately gone for, that shows originality and trying to do something different. But to me, they've taken away a big chunk of my enjoyment by going for that particular option for the sound quality. And from the outset, Kirk said that's a deliberate ploy and what they've decided to do. But I like the Evil Dead references. Some really good replications of the scenes from the film. When they get possessed and it flicks back to them being normal. So I don't know what the connection is to the song and the lyrics, whether they thought, I'll tell you what, for our music video, let's use Evil Dead as a theme. I don't know, because that sometimes happens, doesn't it? There's no relation between the video and the actual theme of the song. But overall, I did really enjoy it, but I'd have liked it a hell of a lot more if it sounded better to me.
So what I find interesting there is when you were saying about if it's deliberate, it kind of takes away from the song, which I actually agree with you. I would like to hear it clearer. But then I like all my music like that way. But when we talk about black metal, if they did that sort of sound quality on black metal, you're like, yeah, but that's what they're going for. That's the fucking bit. If it was too clean, it'd be shit. I'm like, what? You can't have it both ways, mate.
Well, this isn't black metal, is it? So.
But it's true. I think when they put too much reverb and shit on their black metal, I'm like, seriously, sort your sound out.
Yeah, lo-fi recording on a Toys R Us tape recorder. Everybody's loving that, wouldn't they? But again, maybe that's the intention they went for. Let's go for a black metal recording technique.
Because see, what I like about this is I liked your reference of or Kirk's reference of you talk about metalcore and the melodic singing. The difference for me between like what Strapping Young Lad's doing here and what Devin Townsend does in his vocal delivery here versus what metalcore bands generally do is when he's gone into the clean, it's swelling with an emotion, it's meaningful, it's connected. When you see metalcore bands do it, they're just doing this, I'm gonna sing clean and it's gonna sound amazing, and you're like, yeah, I don't believe a fucking word of what you're saying, mate. It's when you're aggressive and you're being aggressive in your vocals in metalcore, you feel it. When they go clean, you feel like you're just trying to do harmonized clean vocals, and you're like, you're taking all the energy out of the track. Whereas he's gone emotional, and you've just changed the energy. That's all. He hasn't taken the energy out. He's just moved it to a different direction. I think he does that really well. And for me, this is one of the first times I'm going to actually come away from this and go, I'm actually going to go check the band out now, because I actually really enjoyed that track enough to make me go. From Andy's point, I'll be like, I just want to see if I could listen to that on a platform or YouTube or whatever it might be, or MP3, and actually see if the quality is slightly better on headphones, for instance, which I'm sure it will be versus speakers. I liked the transitions in the song, the switch between that real heavy stuff going on straight after we restarted that from the pause back into that clean vocal. I started getting a Gojira vibe more near the end. I started going, this sounds really like Gojira, or maybe Gojira sound like Strapping Young Lad. So I was like, oh, maybe Gojira came out like 10 years later than Strapping Young Lad, and they were heavily influenced, but they both came out around the same sort of time, but they got a lot of similarities in style. And I had never really massively got into Gojira, but I've always it's one of those bands you're like, I haven't got a single track of theirs, but every time I hear a Gojira track, I'm like, it's fucking banging, that is. and yet I never go out and get an album of theirs. I'm like, fucking banging song, but yeah, I won't commit to actually going out and getting an album. But yeah, Strapping Young Lad, really impressive. Kirk, take us home.
Yeah, I'll pick up on your point. 2005, Gojira and Strapping Young Lad release genre-defining albums. You get From Mars to Sirius, and then you get this album, which is called Alien. Terrorizer magazine, love both of them. They were very high in the end-of-year polls as well. To me, one thing, Andy, I understand your frustration. A big influence on Strapping Young Lad is Fear Factory. Certainly demanufactured. You can hear that on City and the other albums. And you're expecting really razor-sharp guitars, aren't you? I think that's what was missing for you. If it had that, you'd have been fine. Gojira, yeah, great comparison at the end. I'm surprised neither of you picked up on the exaggerated drum triggers at the end. It sounds like a fucking road drill at the end. You can barely even hear the guitars. But do go and listen to it with headphones on, because it's a masterpiece of production and quite left field the way he does it. And the album, there's not 12 songs like that. You've got some that are far heavier than that. You've got some that are like Jane's Addiction, chilled out. So yeah, I think you'll really enjoy that album, Dave. And I'm glad that it's one of the few times you're thinking, I actually just want to sit down and figure out what he's done production-wise with this record and how does it sound any different through headphones. But yeah, the chorus, you're right, he's emoting. That's the word, isn't he? He's emoting in the chorus. And that middle eight is so heavy, as you said, Andy, the staccato parts. And again, the speakers, you almost feel like shapes are going to come out of it. Try and push through. It's like dun 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 dun. Like Gojira, Meshuggah, those bands, they all do that, don't they? So yeah, this is a song. Can perhaps either of you understand why I never get tired of it? If we forget about the production, do you agree that there is actually a song in there? There's a tune, isn't there? There's an anthem.
Yeah, there is.
Almost.
Yeah. Okay, well that's a way to end the video.
Not often Kirk's lost for words, is it?
That was great for you to wrap up.
Well, we'll let you know. Oh, for those of you at home, please do like, share, subscribe to the video, leave us some comments down below. And again, thank you very much for watching. Take care.